Here's a thought. Why not call good books and cassettes tapping the treasure of ideas? That's it, tapping the treasure of ideas, like you're doing with this program. And if somebody's got a good excuse for not tapping the treasure of ideas for at least 30 minutes every day, or spending the money and getting the books and cassettes, I'd like to hear it. Some excuses you wouldn't believe. I say, John, I've got this gold mine. I've got so much gold, I don't know what to do with it all. Come on over and dig. John says, I don't have a shovel. I say, well, John, get you one. He says, do you know what they want for shovels? Hey, invest the money. Get the cassettes and books. The best money you can spend is money invested in your self-education. Don't shortchange yourself when it comes to investing in your own better future. Mr. Schoaf got me started on my library when I first met him. He said to me, become self-educated. Standard education will get you standard results. Check those numbers and see if that's what you want. And if it isn't, if you want something better than standard, you must become self-educated. So I went to work on my library, and I now have one of the best. Schoaf recommended a couple of books in particular to get me started. Now, I had a Bible, that's 66 books, so that was a pretty good start, and my parents saw to it that I had a good study of the Bible. But the first book Mr. Schoaf told me to get was the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you don't already have it, it's a great one to add to your library. Earl Nightingale has put it on cassette. The title should intrigue you, Think and Grow Rich. I read it several dozen times. Schoaf said repetition is the mother of skill, and if you could have seen my bank account at the time, you would have known I needed lots of that kind of repetition. Some of the ideas in that book made major changes in my life. As I look back now, the book was worth thousands, and I bought it for pennies. I learned a very valuable lesson. There can be a great deal of difference between cost and value. Before I met Mr. Schoaf, I used to ask, how much does it cost? After I met him, however, I soon learned to ask, how much is it worth? I started basing my life on worth instead of cost, and everything changed. So that was one book he recommended, Think and Grow Rich. The next book he recommended I get was a book on nutrition. Schoaf said, study nutrition. Vitality plays an important part in doing well. Some people don't do well because they don't feel well. It's not that they're not intelligent, it's that they're ill. They don't have the fire and the vitality to do well.
If you're a leader in this room, how many consider yourself a leader in what you do for a living? Let me see your hands. I figured almost everybody. So if you're a leader, that doesn't mean other people follow you, by the way. It just means you live life on your terms. You don't settle for less than you can do or be or share or give. So that's your mindset. Then you got to say, okay, if I'm really going to be a leader in my life, then I need to own my energy, my certainty. I can't just wait till I feel good to do things. I got to be able to get myself to feel good, and not phony and not fake. So I'd like to show you as a leader, your skill as a leader, your number one skill that makes you a leader is your ability to influence. Is it true? And who do you have to influence first? That's right. If you can't influence you, you're going to influence somebody else. But your ability to influence the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the behaviors of other people. If you do that, then you will be able to engage the world and yourself. So how do we do that? Well, to influence other people, hear me now, to influence other people, you have to know what already influences them. If you try to get a kid to clean their room the way it would work for you, I promise you it probably doesn't work that way for them. Everyone's different, but there are some universals, and one thing that influences all of us is our state. If you're in a pissed off state, if you ever had a friend do something nice and you're in a pissed off state and you snap at them and you feel bad later on, it was just the state you're in, who knows what I'm talking about here? Say, So we need to train ourselves to be in a better state. And the second thing that affects what we do long term, besides our state, that's what affects things moment to moment, is we all have a set of beliefs or expectations, or we might call it a blueprint for how life's supposed to be. When life is in alignment with our blueprint, we're happy. We're not, we're upset.
So it got to the 10th guy, and they called his name, and nobody went up. And they called his name again. They said, well, looks like number 10 isn't here. We're going to go to next week's list. Steve Harvey, come on up. I looked at that girl, Gladys. I said, it's crazy. I said, there's somebody in here got the same name I got. She said, you really can't be this stupid. She said, boy, that's you. And the audience clapped again. It was all white audience. I run up on stage, I ain't got nothing. First thing I say to the audience is, hey, I appreciate y'all clapping, but I ain't supposed to be here. I'm on next week's show. They white, they laughed. So I said, no, really, I ain't got nothing for y'all. So the girl Gladys yelled out, tell them about when you was boxing. So on the way down, I had told her this story about boxing. So I did the boxing joke. These people was in the flow laughing. So then I ain't had nothing else. So I had wrote some jokes for my buddy AJ Jamal that I hadn't sold to him yet. So I said, well, hell, let me try these. So I did them jokes. They died laughing. They brought me off stage. They brought all 10 of us up on stage. They had a clap off. That night, I won the clap off. I won amateur night, October 8th, 1985. They paid me $50. I get in the car. I'm 40 minutes from my house. Gladys is driving me home. I'm crying the entire time. I can't stop crying. She said, what you crying for? It's just $50. I said, no, you don't understand. This ain't $50. I've been born to it. This ain't $50. This God answering the prayer of mine that I've been praying for 20 years. This ain't $50. This is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. I went to work the next day, October 8th, 1985, and quit my job. I have done nothing since October 8th, 1985, except one thing. I've been telling these here jokes. That's all I've ever done. That gift that God gave me. You know, the Bible says your gift will make room for you. It'll make room for you. See, if you're not doing your gift, you're wasting your time. Maybe when you wake up in the morning, see, but sales is a gift. That dude that keep winning team member of the year from the comfortable background.
I had the privilege several years ago, I was invited by these businessmen in South Africa to come over. Yeah. Everybody here from South Africa? I love it. Cape Town and Sydney are two of my favorite cities in all the world. But I was over there ministering for a bunch of Christian businessmen who had come into an abundance of wealth, and they wanted to submit all that they had into the hands of God. And they invited me over to talk to them both about business and about faith, and just a small group. Wasn't a big crowd of people, but it was an amazing time. And one of the benefits that they gave me for being over there is one of them had such influence. He said, when you get through working, we're going to take you on a safari. And being a hillbilly from the sticks of West Virginia, I thought that was pretty cool. And I got real excited. I had my son with me and I had my wife with me. And I'd never been on a safari before, so I went out and bought me some safari clothes. Because you got to coordinate everything. You got to be looking good when you're out there with the elephants and stuff, you know. Because they might take pictures of you or something. So I looked like I knew what I was doing. I was excited. And they said, we're going to take you over in a little plane and you're going to land on the runway and everything like that. And it's kind of out in a little remote area, but it's going to be cool. And we got on the little plane. I was cool. And my son was cool. And my wife was there. Yeah, she was there. And I was really cool with it because I pictured a runway with a tower and a control tower and everything. There was no control tower anywhere. There was a little runway, just a strip going through the jungle, no lights or nothing on it. And we had to wait before we land because there was a rhinoceros out in the middle of the runway. And all of a sudden, I knew this wasn't going to exactly be like what I had in mind when I started. But I was still cool because the little boy in me is kind of crazy and rough. And I thought, oh, this is going to be good. And my son was down with it. He's ready to go. Go do it. And my wife was just there. They took us out to this, it was like a monstrosity of a mansion out in the middle of the jungle, and it was really cool. It was J. Paul Getty's house, and it was really someplace that I couldn't have gone had they not just allowed me to go. And it was wonderful. It was real plush. It was real nice. I was having a good time. So they said, don't go out the house at night, you know, because the animals are free. Now, you have to understand, in the States we have animals, but they're in cages and stuff like that. And we're free, and the animals are in cages. And so this was an international concept that I was not exactly familiar with. I decided I was going to go anyway. So my son and I, we put on our outfits and we got up early that morning and we said, we're going out on the safari. And they brought this big old Jeep up and we got on the Jeep. And I said, are you ready, Dexter? He said, yeah, Dad, I'm ready. We jumped on the Jeep. My wife wasn't there. She felt led of the Lord to stay at home and pray for us. So we got on the Jeep and we're riding out there, you know, and it was interesting because the guy who was giving us the tour and going to show us all of these unique animals, I mean lions and and all of this fantastic stuff. He was a zoologist and it was amazing. It was amazing because he knew all of this stuff about the animals, how the animals' teeth were cut a certain way so that when they bit into certain branches, the branches were cut in such a way that they would be pruned and still be fruitful. It was amazing how smart our God is.